came to me and he gave me a very good lesson, and he said that's the only car on this grid that's been to Le Mans. In 2004, 2005, that car went. It was red and black at the time.
And I think he said there's only 5 of them in the world, of which 2 of them is in Cape Town. He's got one, and Francis Carruthers has got the other one.
But those things are very, very unique, Frank. I mean, if something happens to that car, it has to be sent all the way back overseas to get rebuilt and sent back here for Steve to tinker on.
Yeah, you don't get parts for those pull beams here in Cape Town. But of course, if anybody knows how to drive that pull beam, it definitely is Carruthers. Remember, he owns the Mallock as well, with the Opel power plant in. He hasn't raced that Mallock for quite some time. That's a 1972 car, Dave Abrams told us a while ago, that Mallock. But obviously, Steve loves this pull beam. And I'll tell you what, Steve can drive it, and the car is quick, because to keep ahead of that Craig Jarvis Janetta, that is not an easy task. That thing is super fast. That thing holds a lap record around here with a 106 in the hands of Stewie White. And then he himself, Craig, did a 108 in it. So, yeah, but that is super quick, that car. So to stay ahead of it in that pull beam, you got to know what you're doing.
I know we've also had Nick Adcock in that Nova.
With the 107.
With the 107, which is
Correct.
very, very close. Also in a prototype. The Nova being a little bit newer. Also the same power plant, a different literage of the V8.
Talking about Adcock, he's taken part in the 4-hour SAES at Swartkops this weekend.
But I want to tell you something even cooler. Charles Visser Jr. was invited up there to drive that car as well, and he now earned the fastest all-time lap record around Swartkops in that car.
And that'll be under a minute. That I can promise you.
56 seconds,
there
Frankie.
There we go.
Charles Visser can drive anything, I'm telling you that.
Yeah, he reminds us of Zak Groenewald from Cape Town. You put that man in anything, even a wheelbarrow, he'll drive that thing. That's how good he is. Right, here we go with 10 racing laps of Sports and GT as we watch them roll towards us. Jarvis on the outside, Humble on the inside. 10 laps. 5 lights on, 5 lights off, and away they go as they head into turn number 1. And it is indeed the pull beam that gets the jump there on the Janetta. It is Humble, Jarvis, then Andre Brunk, and on Andre's outside is Clinton Thorne. Now drops in the pocket there behind him as they work their way, Geordie, towards a turn 2 Castrol.
I'm going to be super intrigued by this battle for the first place position by the end of this race. But watch now, seeing Brunk, Thorne, Gorman, Loosemore, Torrente in that M2 also coming through now, classified as a GT4 car. Salomon, Durus, Bosman in that that Mazda Lotus 7 as they all make their way out of Interceptor Corner. And down the back main they go, are the leaders. Steve Humble a little bit further ahead of Craig Jarvis, and I don't think Craig's going to want that to stay this way. But this is just the first lap. There's still 9.5 to go.
Approaching the end of the opening lap under the Castrol instead of Cape Town Bridge, the 2 front runners go. Lap number 1 is in the bag for them as they head into turn number 1. You just saw Brunk and Thorne. We'll see them now as they're coming in. That's first and second going into turn 1. Yes, Brunk and Thorne coming towards us. And then behind them, side by side, Divan Lasmore and Gavin Gorman. That's the 2 cars you see going into there now. That is Lasmore on the inside, Gorman on the outside. They're very, very close. If Gorman stays there, he'll have the line for Castrol, and he's got him. He's got him before they get into Castrol Corner. So Gavin Gorman gets his nose ahead there of Divan Lasmore.
That was very, very close, almost making contact through turn 1. But watch as they exit turn 2 and make their way through the kink to Interceptor Corner. But they followed by Torrente and Gorman, Solomon, Torrente and Durus as they make their way out of Interceptor. But we jump back to turn 5, and out of turn 5 coming down the main straight, we see Steve Humble in that pull beam making his way down. We'll see what lap time he can do on this second lap. A 110.226 Frankie,
Yeah.
what an incredible car.
That is pretty quick there, 110.226 for Humble. That's the LMP2 sports car, the Janetta of Craig Jarvis. As heading now into turn number 1 is Andre Brink, and hot on his heels is Clinton Thorne. And then Gavin Gorman heading towards us, followed there by Divan Lasmore. Then it is Torrenti, and right behind him is Eric Salomon. Then it is De Roos heading towards us, and then Ray Farnham coming through. There's De Roos, and there is Farnham coming through, and he is bringing Henry Trollope with him as well, the two Birkin 7s working out of turn number 1.
We watch as Torrente, Solomon, De Roos, and Farnham all come through Castrol Corner, making their way out now. We see Gorman and Loosemore. That gap has gained quite a considerable bit, and Gavin Gorman will take that lead of that class a little bit further ahead. But we view now looking down the back straight and into turn 5, coming out of turn 5, or sorry, coming through turn 5 a little bit loose is Andre Brink, and Clinton Thorne is saying, I want that position from you. I can see you getting a bit squirrely, and this is my time to do it, as they make their way down the front straight, crossing the line.
Yeah, they are nose to tail. Remember in the opening race it was Thorne that had a lonely third spot. Now going into 1, you see him sit there behind Andre Brink in that fight for 3 and 4. The next one heading towards turn 1 will be Gavin Gorman. And behind Gorman, you will see Divan Lasmore. There's Gorman turning in. Lasmore will turn in now. Then it is Torrenti. There you're watching Lasmore. Where is Torrenti? There he comes out. They're not showing him on the screen, but he is there. And right behind him is Eric Salomon.
Yeah, those gaps are quite large, but we'll look back now to this battle between Brink and Thorne. This is the closest one we've seen so far as they make their way out of Sarl Sweep. Oh, Clinton Thorne pushed onto the grass. That's going to lose him a bunch of time, and it's going to make him a very, very unhappy chap, as Andre Brink takes that extra little bit of space out of his head to say, okay, he's out of my way. I have a little bit of open air.
Right, they're working their way now through turn number 5, Fostron Corner, and that little off-track excursion has cost Clinton Thorne, because he's lost a bit of ground to the Porsche of Andre Brink as they head into turn number 1. Gavin Gorman and Divan Lasmore are working their way through. That's Lasmore. Gorman is just ahead of him as they exit turn 1. Well, Gorman's out of the shot already as you see Divan Lasmore come through. Then Torrenti comes through, and right behind him is Eric Salomon. He's the quickest accountant on 4 wheels, is Eric Salomon. Then it is De Roos that is coming through. Richard De Roos in that blue Porsche. You'll pick him up there just behind Salomon. There's Torrenti, there's Salomon, there's De Roos heading towards turn number 1. And then you've got coming through behind De Roos is Ray Farnham as you watch De Roos work his way through. Torrenti, yes, Salomon, and there's the blue Porsche of De Roos, and right there is Farnham, and he's been lapped by the overall leader going into turn number 1, and turn 2, and that is Steve Humble into Castrol.
And I was just going to mention that, Frankie, the top 2 have started lapping these back markers in Class D, Class X, and Class C. And I mean, they're only going to get quicker now as Steve Humble passes Richard De Roos. Now we'll watch as Craig Jarvis is a little bit further behind. 3.5 seconds is the gap, making their way through 4. But we look, turn 2. Here comes this battle again between Brink and Thorne, and Clinton Thorne has found something out of that Lotus. With that big spoiler and that big front splitter. He's right on the tail end of that Porsche. He's sniffing on the motor. Steve Humble crosses the line once again. Steve Humble comes now into turn 1. We've got 4 laps to go as of this lap. Craig Jarvis will see 4.5 seconds almost, Frankie.
I can hear that Janetta thunder through turn 1. That is Craig Jarvis. Then we'll have that fight between Brink and Thorne. It's heading towards turn 5. That is that fight towards Fostron corner between the Porsche and the Lotus 7 of Andre Brunk, as you picked him up on screen there. And here comes Clinton Thorne. Clinton is a lot quicker out the corner, but the Porsche holds its own as they head under the City of Cape Town Bridge and race towards turn number 1. With 4 more laps to go, including the one that we are on for the leaders. And as we watch them go into turn 1, you can just mention that Gavin Gorman and Divan Lasmore are heading into 5, and right behind them is the leader. The leader is right on their case. Here comes Gorman, Lasmore, and here comes your overall leader across the start-finish line to start another lap, and that is Steve Humble.
Steve Humble has lapped every car besides the top 4, and he's still half a lap away from Clinton Thorne and Andre Brunk to be able to lap them. But we watch coming into 4, I see that battle with Andre Brunk and Clinton Thorne is heaping up even more. And Clinton Thorne's gone wide once again, Frankie. And I believe that is the Bosman car, that Mazda. A selection problem on those gears is making those revs go up. There we can see as they get past Bosman now. Clinton Thorne has to have something in him. Now they're going to come with 3 laps to go after this lap. Frankie, this is getting very close for comfort.
Well, keeping in mind that Clinton Thorne went off the track at one stage of the game, and he has fought right back now to catch up onto the back end of that Porsche. Those 2 cars that's making their way through turn number 1, the Porsche of Andre Brunk, the Lotus 7 of Clinton Thorne, and we're going to pick up the leader. We'll find him now, because here he comes under this Castrol City of Cape Town Bridge, heading into turn number 1 with 2 more laps to go. Overall leader, Steve Humble, with Craig Jarvis making his way into 1 now.
Steve Humble doing very consistent laps, so 1:10.7 this time around, compared to the 1:09.803 that he did a few laps ago. We've got 2 more to go as of this lap, and Steve Humble is just putting in the times very, very consistently, and it's just not what Craig Jarvis can handle, unfortunately. But we do know that that V8 in that Janetta is very powerful, but the car weighs a metric ton, maybe even more. As we watch now, Steve Humble goes through turn 4, sorrel sweep, and down back onto the back straight. And this time round will be the second last lap. Craig Jarvis now getting onto the back straight. We'll look into 5, Frankie.
Yeah, into 5. Into 1. That fight still rages on. We'll get him now as we watch the leader come through. But coming out of turn 1, if we can get our camera shot there, that is that fight between Andre Brunk and as they exit 1, and Clinton Thorne picking up. This is the final lap. Yes, they just dive up on the inside of one of the slower cars, and that is the fight for P3 and 4 between those 2 working their way to Interceptor.
And I believe we are going to be lucky enough that they will have to do another lap, because Steve Humble will not be able to catch them by the end of this lap, which means they can complete 1.5 more laps to go. And watch them, they're getting very close as they make their way into Sorrel Sweep. It's going to be down the back lane now, and look how close Clinton Thorne is. With all those spoilers, the drag is going to be very high on that car, but he's going to try and get in the slipstream and drag his way down, but the Porsche just has that top end speed, Frankie.
Yeah, down the back lane they go. Working towards a turn number 5 towards Fostron corner. They'll be okay. The leader is on his last lap. He's heading towards turn number 5 as we watch these 2 come out of Fostron. Brunk and Thorne. We'll just stick with this camera shot. We'll see him come through now.
Big dust over there.
There's a car that's gone off. There's a car that's gone off there. It's the leader.
Steve Humble.
It's the leader. He's gone. Steve Humble,
all the way to the tires, Frankie,
has crashed the car. Last lap, last corner. Humble is out of this one. That means Jarvis will come home in P1 across the line. Can you believe that?
He's out of the car. He's walking around. He's going to look at the back end of that vehicle. Maybe a tire, something happened. I can't tell you. But where's that battle? Now into turn 3, Interceptor corner. We see Andre Brunk and Clinton Thorne. They're getting held up by Richard de Roos. And this is going to be also, but Clinton Thorne needs to make that move now before they get to turn 5, because there's going to be no passing into turn 5 very, very shortly for them.
So if he's going to make a move, it must be now. He won't be able to make the move. He's not close enough. There's a yellow lights flashing, double yellow flags, so he's going to have to stay behind him. And that will now be the fight for P2 and 3 across the line, with the demise of the Humble car. Eric Salomon finishes his race as we watch these two head towards the checkered flag, and it is Andre Brunk that will come home ahead there of Clinton Thorne.
But look at this little battle there, Frankie. This is Gorman, and is that loose? No, that's Ray Farnham, sorry, right to the line. Different around the track in different positions, but still a nice battle to the line as we watch another Lotus 7 coming to the line. That'll be Henny Trollope, and we see Marco Ribeiro finishing out. I think Henny Bosman's still on the track somewhere unless he's pulled off. But that will round up Sports and GT, and what a crazy, crazy finish that was. I was not expecting such a thing to occur.
No, geez, he had it all under control. Last lap, last corner for race leader Steve Humble. I don't know what happened there. We just saw the car disappear in a cloud of dust and sand there into the entrance of turn 5. If it was a problem with the tail end of the car, if it stepped out, if he had a brake issue, of course, that we don't know. But that ended that sadly for Steve Humble.
Well, let's see how quickly we can get a replay on this, because this camera is situated right in the perfect spot. But you see, if you look on the very far left, Frankie, there's lockup marks. I don't know if that was from earlier today. It could be possible. But you see it goes straight on over the top end of that corner. And, I mean, he must have been going in at some speed to make it all the way to the barriers.
Frankie, I think Jordan might be right on that one. If you look where those lines are, it ties up perfectly with where the pull beam is standing. It's very possible that that was a brake issue. And at the end of the day, if you think, I mean, that's not just slightly over brake, that's like way over the top. So a man of his experience